Hi everyone, I'm Gary, and I beat cancer. This is my story. It all started April 2000. It was a Friday, sun was shining, everything was normal. Went to work. When I was at work I had to take the van down for a service, so I took it down to the yard, and as I approached the set of traffic lights, I pressed the brakes. Nothing happened. Brakes failed on the van. So rather than run into a busy dual carriageway, I decided to park my van on the crash barrier. That was pretty quickly followed by ambulance, police, fire brigade, and within about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I was on the way to the hospital. Got up to the hospital and I had to go for some tests, just normal x-rays, that sort of stuff. I remember the police came in, I had to do a breath test, and I remember the cop saying, "Yep, it's P for positive." And I sort of looked at him like, "No, that can't be right, I don't drink." He went, no, it's not positive, it just means you passed." But anyway, the test come back and they thought I'd banged my chest on the steering wheel in the crash, because my medium sternum was slightly wider than what it should be. So they sent us for some more. I had to go down for a CT scan, and have some bloods and that took. And a couple hours later, the doctor at the casualty says I need to see another doctor. There's a possibility I might have cancer. So they give us another appointment, sent us home. Got home Friday tea time. Took us 2 days to tell anybody. The wife knew something was wrong, but she didn't know what. And it was on Sunday. I just burst out in tears. Told her what they thought, and our little world came crumbling down. We had to have, I went back up to the hospital, and the doctor there says yes, I had Hodgkin's lymphoma, which was basically my immune system, my lymph nodes, were being attacked by this cancer. I had to go 4 weeks later. I couldn't believe it, mate. You know, they know you've got cancer, but still takes a month for them to arrange a biopsy. Where I had to go over to the hospital, the Freeman Hospital in Newcastle, and I had to go down to theatre. When I came out of theatre, I came out with a new 4-inch scar in my chest, and a tube coming out my chest, just acting as a bit of a drain. Took another 3 weeks after that for them to confirm that it was definitely Hodgkin's lymphoma. God knows what goes through your mind. Anybody who's, to be honest with you, anybody who's had it or been closely involved in it, only them really know what goes through your mind. Are you gonna live? Are you gonna die? What's gonna happen with your family if you're not there? I had to go down to a local hospital and see Dr. Hendricks, who was the oncologist down there. Lovely, lovely lady. And she had a chat with us, and a lot of people said I should have sued the council, because obviously the brakes failed in the van. But the way I looked at it was, I had no signs or symptoms. My feet were sweating a lot, and I was a little bit breathless going up and down stairs, that sort of stuff. But I just put that down to me being unhealthy. Never crossed my mind in the slightest that it could be cancer. So they still sorted out me chemotherapy that I had to have. I started my chemotherapy on a drug called Vimblastin, because I was relatively young, and I also had a chest X-ray 6 months before the accident, and that was clear. So I was young, fairly fit, and they caught it really, really early. So somebody upstairs was watching us, and they could think to say if I hadn't had the accident, I wouldn't have been any the wiser. So they could deliver quite a large amount of chemotherapy. Unfortunately, the effects that the chemotherapy has on you, my veins in my arms started to collapse, and they couldn't get any access into my veins to give us the drugs, so they had to put a Hickman line in. And that was working fine. Had its ups and downs. Spent a few extra days in hospital because of one of the nurses didn't do the correct procedure before giving us me chemotherapy through the Hickman line, and I ended up with septicemia. So I ended up in hospital. Again, a lot of people said should have sued the hospital, but it was one of them things. That's the way I looked at it. They were there saving my life. That was good enough for me. So, I think the hardest thing probably was I was taking it in my stride. People couldn't believe how well I was taking it, but the way I looked at things is it wasn't going to stop us from doing anything different. I kept on going the way I'd normally done things. I couldn't work, with it being my immune system and my lymph nodes where the cancer was. I was susceptible to all sorts of infections, or anything bad, then I would probably catch it. At the time, I was working as a pest control technician for the local authority. So I suppose pest control wasn't the best place to be if you didn't want to catch anything. So I lost my job. But Macmillan nurses were there, and they are absolutely brilliant. If there's anything, even just being there, but they can do a lot more for you. So don't be scared to ask. Macmillan nurses are absolutely brilliant. I mean, when I say I wouldn't. Things were tight. Money was tight. We had problems with the car, and it was down to me to fix it myself. Yeah, it was bad, but like I said, I wasn't going to let it stop us from doing anything. And they did have to change the course of my drugs, my chemotherapy drugs, and unfortunately, this was the one that made you sick. Lose your hair. As you can tell, it doesn't stay permanent. And this is just this month. No Shave November for cancer. Worthwhile cause. Yeah, we're getting back to it. I think there was one stage when I was fixing the car, I was under the car, and all of a sudden, the first bout of sickness kicked in, and I threw my guts up all over the place. As I was fixing the car, of course. But I don't know. You cannot let it, or I wasn't gonna let it ruin my life. As for the wife and kids, I don't think I would have gotten through it if it wasn't for the wife. She stood in my corner. She battled the hospitals. And I just couldn't be bothered to put up any fights with people. I had too much on my plate to start with, and Jackie was there for us. I love you, babes. If it hadn't have been for her, I don't know if I would have gotten through it. Kirsty was also a little star, even though she was young. She helped Emma as much as she could. She was there giving us a cuddle, and I wanted a cuddle. I think Shannon, it hit Shannon. Shannon was too young to understand anything. But she did start picking up on stuff. There was times when I had to go to the hospital for my chemotherapy, and I didn't come home. There was either something wrong with my bloods, or I had some sort of infection and I had to be admitted in the hospital. And over time, the school said she developed parent detachment disorder, where basically she didn't want to be away from her. So in the end, I had to, I took her with us when I went to hospital. She came with us to see what the hospital was doing and just see what was happening with her dad. She missed a lot of schooling, which landed us in a heap of trouble. Even to the point where the education department took us to court. This was further down the line, but once I got the all clear, we decided to have a family holiday, because I think we deserved it. And we went on holiday. It was on Thursday to Thursday. No, it wasn't. It was a Sunday throughout to Thursday, so it was like 11 days, something like that. And the school said, well, you can go, but if you're coming back on Thursday, Shannon needs to be in school on the Friday. And unfortunately, our flights and everything were delayed and we got back late. Shannon didn't make school on the Friday, so we got a right snotty letter from the education department, who were taking us to court because Shannon had missed school. We explained, the problems. I had cancer, but they didn't seem to be caring. They didn't care. So it went to court, which gave her a little bit more stress. Things were going pretty well by that stage. It went to court. The judge in court saw the evidence, saw the reasons why, and couldn't believe the department had brought it to court. It got kicked out of court. The education department got hit with the court costs.